Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It is time to once again chat about War Thunder, and this time we're going to be going into some naval stuff. So this update, a ton of things in naval changed. First of all, they snuck in some BR changes, which basically has decompressed a lot of the battle cruisers into the cruiser territory. Stuff like the Invincible went down, things like the North Dakota, the Nassau, the Dreadnoughts, the Corbeil, things like this, and there was very few of them that actually went up, such as the Dulio went up to 7.0, but a lot of it is actually compressing a bunch of vehicles into an area where they are going to dominate, and that kind of sucks, if I'm honest with you. That's not really fun, that's not really interesting, so we'll have to see how that affects everything. The other part that I really wanted to focus on in this video is the constant changes to Naval. So this is something that has kind of been ringing in my head for the longest time. There was a interview that was done by a guy called Circon, or Circonflexes, who is, or at least used to be, a World of Tanks content creator, and he did it with one of the creative directors over at Wargaming. And he basically talked about the idea that it takes quite a long time to actually get stuff balanced in the game. Usually from release of a vehicle until it's seen as balanced, it's around about 6 months on the live server, because you have the initial people who are usually the people who really want to play it, so they get involved, and then everybody else kind of grinds up to it, and then eventually it normalizes after about 6 months. So with War Thunder and its absolutely chaotic update schedule, there is no way that you can ever have a time where things are like fully balanced in most of the areas, because it's constantly waiting for more stats while things are also constantly changing. Now, usually when it comes to most game modes, the game mechanics are not fundamentally changing every update or every 6 months. In Naval, this is different. If you actually have a look at how often they've changed the damage models of machines, the amount of times they've changed the actual ammunition of machines in terms of how much damage they do and how much they actually go around, and also the aiming system in Naval, mainly Naval Arcade, you will find that pretty much every single year they do 2 or 3 major changes to it, which completely nullify what was there before. So to give you an example of this, just to kind of go through everything, if you actually have a think about this update. So first of all, you got the BR changes. Okay, nothing too crazy there. Usually they do a few of them here and there, and that's completely fine. They've done a few rank changes. Once again, not a huge deal. It's just some kind of research changes and changed a few costs of different things. That's all well and good. They also changed the ballistics of every shell over 100 millimeters. So that's basically all shells that are in the Blue Water fleet of the tech trees. So they have all fundamentally changed. They've completely changed the way that you take damage, not just from torpedoes, but also guns. They've also changed the way that the kind of like setup works with, you know, how you do damage to vehicles in terms of like destroying like certain components of them, and you know, the whole damage calculation of it, where you can technically like overpressure or hull break a vehicle if you hit it in the same spot over and over again. And then also on top of that, they fundamentally changed how naval aiming works. So the 3 major parts of the game mode, which are pretty much supposed to be the standard stock things that you can rely on, all fundamentally changed in this last update. If you play Naval Arcade, of course. If you play Naval Realistic, only 2 out of the 3 has changed, which is still ridiculous. Now, if we go back to the previous statement, the idea that when it comes to Naval, or when it comes to anything, it needs a specific period of time to kind of relax and to go through. If you have a look at every major update of the last few years, you will see massive fundamental changes to Naval to try and get it to whatever standard they're working on. It feels like somebody just keeps flipping a coin with different areas of Naval and being like, okay, we have to try and upgrade this bit. Okay, we have to try and upgrade this bit. Okay, we have to change this bit. Something's not working. And it really feels like they're just trying to make it work for as many people as possible. And now we're at a point where it's so dumbed down and so, I don't even know, botty to play, it is basically the same as being a bot to play the game. And that just kind of sucks. It's just not really fun in general to see that happen to the game mode. Now, we're going to be playing some today because there's the Pages of History, the second Battle of Surt, and then also at the same time, I played a ton of it over the last period of time because of the Strasbourg event, which, to be honest, I played a lot of coastal stuff. I actually really enjoy coastal stuff. There is some fundamental problems with coastal, mainly down to survivability of certain machines, but maybe the damage stuff actually fixes that, you know? Maybe we actually live in an area now where that will actually be better. Is that true? We'll have to see once again, won't we? And then also, you know, some of the changes are positive. The coastal fleet changes where they've, you know, improved the reserves, so you're not completely useless when you start playing out is really nice. You know, you can do a little bit of damage, so it's very much topsy-turvy. But in order to believe that Naval can get to a point of stability, can get to a point where people will just enjoy it, you also have to give it a little bit of faith instead of fundamentally changing stuff all the time. There is no way to actually just sit down and be like, okay, I just want to go play this and I just want to go chill for a bit. Because every time you play it, or every time there's an event coming around, which obviously people want to play, or every time there is something going on, you are straight up just going to have to completely play a different game every time you sit down to play it. And that just sucks. And it means that you have to change the way that you play. You have to adapt to what's going on. And it's just a mess. Imagine in ground if every major update or every other major update, because we have 5 a year, right? They fundamentally changed how you aim, right? So instead of, I don't know, the way that you aim in ground right now, instead of that, imagine every few months, which is basically what it is, they completely change what buttons you have to press and also where you hit stuff. Imagine if they fundamentally changed every single vehicle's ballistics every update. You remember when they added the volumetric shells into the game? And you remember how, like, there was a ton of complaining about it, at least early on, and now it's kind of, like, died down a little bit. Or remember, like, overpressure or hull break or anything like that. Those were 3 events in War Thunder's history, which were changed, you know, over time and modified. With Naval, those 3 events are happening every other update. So it's impossible to keep up with it. And it's impossible to work out what's going on. I don't even understand how people can, like, continue to get what's going on. And they might be going into, like, a new era when it comes to Naval because, you know, obviously they did the AI changes, so therefore, you know, there is problems with not enough people actually queuing for the matches, so therefore, you know, that's a bit of a problem. They're also, at the same time, you know, changing all of these mechanics. They've talked about bringing in larger battleships, and they've talked about bringing in submarines, so maybe they're building towards something. But right now, it just seems like they're just throwing darts at a wall and trying to get stuff working. And that's not always something that is positive. That's not always something that works out very well. So hopefully, in the future, hopefully what can happen is they stop doing that and they let it have a little bit of normalcy. But unfortunately, at the moment, that isn't what's here. Instead, it's just all over the place. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day. And I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.